This is AV SuperFriends Off the Rails, an almost regularly scheduled open discussion on audio and video in higher education. We'll sound off about our most brilliant ideas, our dumbest mistakes, and everything in between. And because this conversation will almost certainly go off the rails at some point, we'll end up covering just about everything else. And now, the AV SuperFriends. For May 23rd, 2025, it's the best-sounding podcast in higher ed. This is the AV SuperFriends Off the Rails, episode number 110. Boy, you know, we've done so many of these that statistically at least 5 of them are probably fever dreams, so I want to turn those back in.
Fever dream?
Yeah. It's a thing, Justin.
Right,
read a book.
That's how I feel.
I don't know.
Broadcasting live across 4 time zones, from the coastal range to the high plains of the Rockies, from the Great Plains to the rolling bluegrass hills to the Piedmont Plateau. I'm Chris Decter, and you're tuned in for their Friday afternoon podcast adventure. And we're about an hour late on this one because we just did a special recording, which we will be dropping into a future show, and you will get to see that in about 2 weeks, I think.
Something like that.
There's stuff to be done on that one, so we have to do some production things. Yes.
There's been a lot going on around here lately.
But with that in mind, let's say hello to today's panel of AV SuperFriends. Today I'm joined by a signal workflow specialist from Kansas City. Say hello to Jamie Reinhardt, who is muted and has not unmuted his mic. He ruined the whole thing.
I ruined the whole thing. My signal flow sucked. I was like, man, I had a good one. I draw all the arrows on the cable so you know which way the network cable goes.
It's ruined. It's ruined.
Brilliant.
Also joined by a converged collaboration analyst from Corvallis, Oregon. Say hello to Mark Kolozinski.
It's all just different hand signals, and we'll all figure it out one way or another. We're just mailing things, and who knows, screaming from the top of buildings. We'll figure it out.
Also joined by a visual enablement associate from Greensboro, North Carolina, Mr. Larry Darling.
Does that mean I just walk around and turn on projectors all day? Because if so, I'm down. I mean, that sounds like a good gig.
I guess you're simply enabling visuals?
You just put goggles on people all day long.
Oh, there you go. And finally, joined by our illustrious Vice President of Dynamic Signal Ecosystems from Bowling Green, Kentucky, Mr. Justin Rexing.
Jamie ruined my signals.
You hit the mute button.
You're having a hard time getting through
dynamic and changing in my ecosystem, and Jamie blew it. So I don't know what to do.
A glass ceiling with you, Justin.
Yeah.
Getting past that vice president is tough.
I've given up. I'm done with that shit.
He's got to be some assassinations.
He's working on demotions now.
Yeah. We got to focus on something else.
On today's show, we're going to discuss a special secret pre-recorded segment that we can't really talk about yet because it's in process. But
it happened.
For those of you listening live, you're going to miss that segment because it's literally, we're going to be right here, but it's not happening. Listen to the recording in about I think the first week of June that comes out. So that we'll have an entirely new segment that we just recorded.
Yeah.
But it has to pass some legal stuff. So
it's top secret.
Very cool thing.
Dangerous.
Yeah. And it's about something that you will be able to see at InfoComm. So we're just going to do a teaser on that one. And then, it will be one of the products at InfoComm. You figure out which one.
Brand newish.
And speaking of which, we're also going to talk about how to get us to leave your booth at InfoComm immediately. And not by calling security, because that doesn't work. We've proven that. So what sort of things can you say which make us turn off our brains and walk? We'll give you some of those tips coming up. But first, it's not the news, it's some housekeeping. So I did want to mention, we've started doing in recent, I don't know, about the last 2 years or so, but in recent months.
Last 2 years?
We have new episode artwork every episode. And very few podcasts actually do that. So we have different artwork for every single episode. We've also started updating the RSS feeds. So when you go looking for our show, it's not just the AV SuperFriends logo. It's this artwork of the current episode with the logo. So that changes. We're doing that deliberately because it looks different, and you have to go find our stuff. This last one we just released earlier this week, it was a artwork of a university professor with his technical support punch card. He has earned his sixth free
Western Kentucky.
his sixth free tech support call, and all of the artwork comes from discussions that we do during the show. And I think it's worth recognizing. We're not just throwing out AI, stuff.
No,
it's things based on what we talked
behind
about.
The scenes, sketching this shit up real time.
Well, there's a computer full of artists anyway. So
yeah.
But
Our support is free, by the way. You don't need a punch card. It's the project side. That's a different.
It's free once they pay for the system.
Free.
You get 6 calls and then it's a project.
Yeah.
It's free after you pay. After your check clears, it is all free. So
I don't make the rules up.
Charges.
you can change them.
Anyway, not change them.
We can do this.
If
Chris.
you're listening to this as a recorded MP3, we do stream live on Fridays at about 3:30 p.m. Eastern or 12:30 Pacific, though today we're about 45 minutes behind that because of the pre-recorded segment we just did. So you can join us for those live streams on Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube, etc. If you can't join us live, we still want you to connect with us on the same social. So follow us on Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube, Blue Sky, all those fun places to keep up with what we're doing. Please don't forget to spread the word. Share this podcast with your friends, enemies, colleagues, perfect strangers, dog walkers, anyone else who may enjoy it. If you could sneak into a university classroom and then spend about 45 minutes giving a guest lecture on why subscribing to this podcast is more important than whatever they were discussing before, that would be fantastic. Also, take lots of pictures as the security drags you out. So
redirect all of the QR codes across campus. That'd be nice.
Yes. We can provide stickers for that.
On my campus, they all go to my Venmo. It's great. Speaking of which, if you do want to support the show, please consider donating. Your contributions help to keep us bringing you the content that you love or that you love to hate. And you can find the donation link in the show notes of this episode or all over the website. And finally, we do want to hear from you if there's a topic you want us to cover, if we were really right about something or really wrong about something, and you want to send us an old-fashioned email, which we do read, Justin. I read all those emails. I
was just asking.
You were kind of accusatory on.
I was asking,
emails,
like, are we reading this shit? Like, what?
Of course.
Please send an email to mailbag@avsuperfriends.com. In fact, one came in the other day asking for more information about the special teams drawer that I did. And yes, I did get that email. I did respond. I am taking some photos of that, so I have updated better photos. I will share those out. So, but yes, it is a very cool
Nobody
solution,
wants to see my projector card. I know that.
Your projector card is very cool. Take photos.
I've got a photo. Awesome. I'll send it to
shared
you.
it with us.
Photos.
No, yeah.
It's got the motorcycle lift in it. We got a different motorcycle lift, and they love it even better. So it's
and it sits on the back of an actual motorcycle.
Have, like, flames painted on it, so it's faster.
We could.
The Evil Knievel edition.
It's actually pretty slow, but works well.
Finally, as you're listening to this on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon, wherever you're listening to this, please go in and leave a rating and review. And we appreciate those of you who have left ratings and reviews, because generally we have pretty high ratings. That
reviews.
Bumps us
High
up in the
ratings,
algos. That means more people see us in the listings. More people will be tricked into clicking it because we have different artwork every time. And more people will be exposed to this nonsense. So, all righty. With all that said, we do have to wedge in a quick
gauntlet.
Comment or quick message here.
Bar? Isn't there a chat bar somewhere in here nowadays?
We couldn't get it to lay out properly. I'm not sure how that works. Unless I just click this.
Where's our IT?
What is that?
There it is.
There's nothing
but
there.
I don't know what that does. So.
I don't know where it comes from, but we've been told that we have a chat bar. We have a whole team of people sitting by to chat with you all.
Looks like
we have no idea how it works.
Looks like they left. Not.
All right, we're going to take a quick break. I'm going to run this message, and then we're going to come back and we're going to cover the news.
The news. Hey.
Are you tired of those outdated digital signage displays cluttering up your campus? Do you wish there was a way to keep your events fresh and exciting month after month? Introducing Independent Amalgamated Analog Digital Signage, the only service that delivers brand spanking new informational posters right to your doorstep every single month. It's the beginning of the month, and what do you get? A shiny new poster with all the latest event details ready to dazzle your colleagues. Not only will our posters keep your events looking fresh, but they'll also keep you on your toes. Because our posters are printed weeks in advance, the information may not always be correct. But hey, who needs accuracy when you've got style? With Independent Amalgamated Analog Digital Signage, you'll never have to worry about boring clip art, stock video footage, and converted PowerPoint files again. Join the madness today and watch your workplace transform into a poster paradise. Independent Amalgamated Analog Digital Signage. Because who needs accuracy when you've got style?
Okie dokie. And now you've waited all week for it. It's time for the news, and Justin's singing along to the news theme.
Yeah.
Which he does live. That's ventriloquism. Highly practiced.
Should I do another one, like a new one? Or do we like
no,
that one
because
so
you did that
much?
one with, you did that one without knowing you did it, which is why I clipped it, and then that replaced our little news jingle. So
okay.
You didn't realize your mic wasn't muted when you were singing along. So.
No, I did. I just didn't care. Just like most
As
of the time,
always.
I don't really care.
Doesn't
Yeah.
matter.
Just being me.
all right, so
I don't know.
So today's news article, I guess you call it that, almost product announcement maybe, comes from the good folks at Aurora Multimedia, and this is actually their release about a new kind of like ecosystem, I guess, of stuff. A new what do you want to call it? A new product line.
I thought they had this last year. Did they not?
Well, I just said it was new, so thanks, Justin.
Well, I thought they. Well, go ahead.
I think
I don't-
this particular thing, I think it's a subset of a thing they already had.
Yeah, they
but
had
it's
an
not.
interesting HDBaseT type thing that went long range, and then I think this is a new thing, part of that series, right?
So this is, they're calling this IPBaseT. So it's not
Right.
AV over IP, and it's not HDBaseT, but it's leveraging. Someone's going to be really angry as I explain it this way, but it's leveraging IP to manage and switch your HDBaseT transmissions.
Chuck's gonna be
because it's
mad
not
at us.
encoding.
We're
Chuck
gonna
is
He is.
very angrily
Chuck's
yelling
like-
at his,
yeah, Chuck's like,
car
"What
stereo
the
Then
right
you can
now.
call in.
Hey, did we set up the phone number?
There's
It's not
the
running.
chat.
Yeah, it's not running.
There's a chat.
Larry. Only Larry. So this is just another complicated device that's further complicating ecosystems. Is that what I just heard?
It's
Maybe.
I think
don't
I
know.
think
I think
they're
it's
trying.
clever. I think
It's clever. Yes.
Yeah, I think that was why
It's-
this seemed very clever. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. That's neat.
They're leveraging IP encoders and decoders, sort of. I think it's using IP subscriptions.
Yes.
But but you're treating it. You're thinking of it like HDBaseT. So you're
HDBaseT.
treating it like like something that you're switching. Transmitters and receivers, not encoders and decoders, distribution amplifiers, things like that. So you're thinking baseband, but doing it through IP. Is that 50%
Well,
That's
I
probably
think
how
the-
people want to think about AV over IP in the first place.
That's
they
how
want
a
it
lot
to
of
be
people
more like
do think about AV
HDBaseT.
over IP.
Yeah.
But I think it's what people wanted HDBaseT to be.
Yeah, I would agree. Because it
Like
gives
I
you the
wanted
flexibility.
HDBaseT to get to this point where it's like, okay, great, you can already drive network across it. Now just allow me to have an IP address that makes that trigger switch. I'd be interested in talking to them. I'd probably, maybe I will stop by in Florida and talk to them.
I dare you.
Jamie, this sort of thing seems like it's right up your alley where you're going to come back and say you did like three or four rooms of it and it works great.
You got this thing and then like bought one of each of the things back from Acquisitions Row and wedged it in here and it works.
I think 5 to 6 years ago, yes. Yes,
What's
because I
changed?
still wasn't ready to make the dive into AV over IP. But I really liked HDBaseT, and this looks like that in between that I could use instead on the traditional, the island network, right? Where I can run it across that. It
With the
doesn't ever
Larrys.
have to hit the enterprise. It doesn't have to go to the cloud. It doesn't have to do all the BS. I think I would have been very tempted into trying this. Now that I'm putting everything on the enterprise and I'm putting everything on a normal network backbone, and I don't think I would do this. But 5 or 6 years ago, you're probably right. It probably would ended up somewhere, and I'd have better experiences.
I probably won't do this, because we're looking at several AV over IP setups for our active learning spaces that are coming up. But I am on a private network, and this is at least a solution. If it comes in significantly cheaper, I'm at least going to look at it and figure out, okay, is this the path I want to go, or I just want to go the enterprise level AV over IP solution I'm looking at.
I could be wrong, but I feel like this is something where I look at it as I've got a problem. That's the solution for it. You don't actively think about it in your designs, but you've got this one weird thing over here that this would fit perfect for.
Absolutely. Like if I have a satellite campus, which is like one room in a building I don't have the network access to get to, this would be something I would at least consider in that.
I see there's like an IPBaseT manager tool widget they also have that goes as like a software part of this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like this is a company that needs to talk to us.
They'll talk to you. I've talked to Chuck last year. Just look for the green jacket.
Oh, Chuck will talk for days.
Chuck will talk to you. I'm telling you. Look for his green jacket. We could all go there and do a recording, see what's going on with this thing.
Because I read the marketing material. I tried to dig into the website a little bit and manuals and things, and there's just kind of like it's intriguing, and I'd like to know more.
They'll send you one too. Demo kit. Yeah.
I think you need
I'm
two.
going to need at
But
least
only
40.
one. So not
Just
nothing
one.
else. Just the one
So you
thing.
can't
Plug
go
it up. Well, send me one, and then Jamie, you plug up yours to your network, and we'll see if they work.
Yeah, we
That's
see if
not
we
how
can
this works.
get it over the WAN.
Yeah,
Don't worry
it'll
about
work.
it. It'll
It'll
go.
work.
If that works, I buy 10,000 now.
I think it is like, this feels like this is what people really wanted the AV over IP stuff to be from that transition, and then like just weird that it took this amount of time to get here now. And so I think it's fascinating, but I think there's probably a good market for people who want to be able to leverage an IP workflow, but they don't want it to be as complex and need to have all the heart-to-heart conversations with their network admins. They just want to roll this out there and move it forward, have some success. Say, hey, we're scalable, and
let's
when
be
the
honest,
time comes, we'll be ready.
People who are the users, the people in the room, in our case, the faculty, the students, the instructors in these spaces, they don't give a crap
less.
how
They don't care how the
stuff is getting
sausage
from
is
point A
made,
to point B.
Stop it.
They don't.
We only
As
want to talk
much as
about it.
people who are like, oh, we're a such and such house, as much as people like to say that,
It's all
first
clicks
of
and
all,
whistles to
it's
them
it's
now.
2025. Get with the program. It doesn't matter. Secondly, knock it off, because that's not how the world works anymore. And if you're stuck in 2012 like that, then you need to get out of your little bubble and kind of look around and see what else is out there, because you may be missing some really interesting solutions from other organizations, other manufacturers, other companies. So something like this, like you said, Justin, this may not be the thing, like, I'm going to go build a whole building with it, but like there may be that project 6 months from now, you're like, oh, you know what? This is the thing that's going to do it.
Those one-offs, those one-off projects where you're like,
I wouldn't even say the one-offs. I would say the in my case, it's like the edge project.
Or
Yeah,
like
the
an
edge,
existing system that you're renovating, and it's like, oh, but it's over there, and then I need this over. Shit. Okay,
I
that.
could see this being big in hospitality.
Yeah.
Places where you have 1 or 2, 3 inputs, but 1,000 little displays all over a floor. Maybe
conference centers, things like that.
Maybe a stadium. I don't know if anybody's designing a stadium right now, Justin.
It's done. I'm done with that.
It's all VGA.
It's all done.
But I could see that, because now you're
Fancy
not worrying
VGA.
about, the normal network congestion hiccups, somebody plugging it. It's just, there it goes. I don't know. I think that it'd be worthy investigation if you're going to travel to.
You know who this makes sense for as I think about it? And Justin, keep this in mind for the other Justin, for Bizarro Justin.
Ooh.
For integrators who love to bring in managed network switches to set up AV over IP on island mode, and
secret logins.
but deal with all that stuff with. They've got the secret edge router they've put in over here with the Best Buy special they've buried somewhere. All this stuff, something like this that is fully standalone. Like, look, yes, we have all the capability of AV over IP, but this, I'm going to just lock this thing down, set it up over here, and it's just going to run for 8 years without a problem.
It's still going to be on that 48-port 4350 switch. We're only going to use 3 of the ports, but we're using.
That's right.
We
had to get the big one with the
materials.
redundant power supplies, because you always want that.
Switch everywhere.
I got a question.
Shit. Yeah.
Who?
We got 2 of them.
Who's Bizarro Justin?
It's the guy wearing the shirt today
know.
that says RexCon.
That's me. Oh. I thought you were talking
Hey,
to me
that's
and said
me.
other Bizarro Justin is. Are you referring to me as like dual personalities?
You have dual service
Sometimes.
hats.
How many
Dual
hats do you wear?
3, incling one here and a greater.
We
than-
don't count.
Yeah, you do. You guys take up a lot of my time.
He's invoicing us every
Yes.
The clock is
This
running.
is definitely a third hat that I wear. Absolutely.
This is all billable.
Yes. You're the 5th punch today, by the way.
Ooh, next one's free.
Yeah, next one's free. Next week.
crap.
All right.
All right. So, I'm guarantee this will be at InfoComm. So swing by Aurora's booth and kind of see what sort of interesting stuff they've got going on there. And
Ask for Chuck.
Ask
He's
for
probably going to
Chuck.
hate me,
Oh.
but yeah.
He'll already have a crowd around him.
Only talk to Chuck, no one else. I'm just
Wait
joking.
for Chuck.
I'm just joking.
We
Chuck's
have
got
a
a bathroom
secret
break here and
code.
there, I'm
The
sure.
secret code is
Yeah.
for
No,
this.
just follow him in. He'll
just-
talk through the door.
Go to the show floor and just go to their booth, and the secret code is ask for Chuck. That's our secret
Yes.
code they gave us. Just use that.
He is unaware that this is going on right now. Pretty sure.
All righty. Well, we'll take a quick break, and we're going to come back, and we're going to talk about something very, very interesting that you're going to see at InfoComm, that you want to see live as a demo, and then get your hands on this sort of thing, because there is some pretty, pretty slick stuff going on there. Those of you on the stream, you're not going to hear that yet, but come back. For those of you on the recording, you will. So this is kind of weird to talk about, but
It's all right.
figure it out.
They'll figure it out.
It'll be there. So, all
right.
right. The AV SuperFriends are sponsored by Computer Comforts Incorporated. CCI has been building tech furniture for the education market since 1987. Instructor lecterns, computer lab tables, collaborative tables, and active learning clusters are just a few of the many innovative products made by CCI. Speaking of lecterns, Computer Comforts has just released Evolve. If you're looking to future-proof your classroom, Evolve is the Swiss Army knife of lecterns. Seriously, this flexible lectern does it all. Not only is Evolve sit-to-stand and ADA compliant, it's also packed with tech-friendly features. And the best part, it ships fully assembled and ready for action. Check out the 90-second video to see all the options. Visit computercomforts.com/evolve. So we're joined right now by our good friends at Liberty AV, who are going to talk to us about an interesting kind of new, is it fair to say an entirely new platform that we're going to be talking about here? An interesting play. We've been given kind of a bit of a preview about this, but we're going to turn it over to our friends there to kind of talk through. This is really unique, and I'm a little flustered here because I want you to understand this is something that is very interesting and definitely worth taking a look. So we're joined by Warren Clark, Ed Jankowski, and Steve Whitehurst from Liberty, and they're going to kind of go through their process on this and kind of where they are. And you guys, as you're watching this now, make sure you put down to an opportunity to go to the booth at InfoComm to go see what Liberty's talking about here. This is very, very slick stuff, and I think for a lot of you, this is going to be something that's going to potentially change how you manage your own systems as well as how you monitor and support stuff all over your campus. So this is very slick stuff. Warren, I'm going to turn it over to you, and then we'll dive into it. So Warren, welcome aboard.
Yeah, thank you, Chris. Great to have us on the program today. Thank you. So let me tell you a little bit about Liberty AV. Liberty AV has been a long trusted leading supplier in the industry, offering high-quality Pro AV electronics and cable products designed to simplify and ensure compatibility in Pro AV solutions. We're positioned in the mid-price market. Liberty's brand recognition has always been strong. We've started seeing a convergence of Pro AV, security, and infrastructure dealers, integrators, and solutions, particularly during COVID. So during that time, we leveraged Liberty's trusted brand, and we broadened our offerings in 2023, rebranded simply to Liberty. And we invested heavily into the brand by expanding into our security, low voltage, wireless DAS, power, and metals, thus completing a full infrastructure line card. These markets are served through our dedicated Liberty sales team, our authorized B2B channels, and libertyonline.com. We continue to provide our customers with expanded, simple, and comprehensive solutions to meet current and future needs in growing global markets. So quite a bit of a change, Chris, and we're really excited to be able to tell you more about some of the products that come with that today.
That all sounds great. I said, so Warren, anything else from your side? I know Ed's he's champing at the bit here to jump into it, but anything else you want to add before we get into it?
Well, I'm just excited to have Ed on to talk a little bit about some of the new products, and so let's turn it over to Ed to hear more about what's coming.
Very cool.
Thanks, everybody. What I'd like to walk through is the story about our CX Unify platform that we're going to dive deep into today. The Liberty started our journey in 2018 on this, and I like to call it a journey because, for the AV industry, getting into addressing managed services, there's so many different definitions of what managed services really are to the AV integrator. But what we're really talking about is monitoring, management, remote remediation. And so back in 2018, I don't know how many of you will remember, but at InfoComm in 2018, we had a partnership with the Australian company Teleportivity. Mm-hmm. Teleportivity is a QR code where you can get instructions on how to run the room. But what's really unique about Teleportivity is they offer an instant video call. So you could have a plaque in a room, QR code it, an end user or a tech would get an instant video call with a knock. And it was really well received. And we have lots of customers just utilizing that QR code technology for a variety of reasons, primarily around tech support. But what we did is that led us to release what at the time what we called CX Detect. So we released this during the pandemic, kind of late 2020. And, the approach we took with CX Detect was an agnostic single pane of glass. One of the first to have that, but we not only did we do network monitoring and understanding, all the endpoints that could be on the network addressable and have alerts and get information out of them. We also tackled Zoom and Teams, and that was really important, right? At the end of 2020 and into 2021, when those platforms really accelerated, right? And so, live call status, network routing, understanding, is it Comcast or some other cable provider's issue from your home office? We got a lot of traction and a lot of interest. So we've had this CX, you kind of started off at the beginning, Chris, with, is it a completely new platform? What it really is feedback that we've gotten over the last 3 years, all led up to, a major, I like to call it, CX 2.0 in a way, but a major launch and a rebranding as CX Unify. From an end user feedback, we've had lots of engagement with the higher ed community and our advisory committee of folks providing input on what this new CX Unify how it should look and feel, some of the benefits that should be baked into the system. So many of those came from, folks like yourselves and the tech leaders, at higher ed institutions. Lots of the feedback that we got was around how do we organize the room structure or the spaces structure? How do we link in the different devices there? Also, if you're standing up and onboarding 100 rooms at a time or 1,000 rooms at a time, what can we do to speed that process up? So a lot of, a good number of the improvements to the system are around efficiency, streamlining, making the entire, both, bringing the system up and the platform up and getting it onboarded and maintaining it, et cetera, baking in a whole lot of efficiencies into that piece of things. So we're very proud of, this new version that we're releasing. We're also proud that we're baking in some true practical AI features here that Steve's gonna also talk about. So with that, I'd really like to maybe turn it over to Steve, unless there's some questions for me, where he could, talk through some of the new benefits of the system.
I'll just say, I remember meeting the teleportivity folks on the floor that year. And I think we came by and did a recording and we're like, what are we looking at? What's going on here? And it was the QR and they were going through the whole thing. And I was like, wait a minute. Are you telling me this is like AI and like remote thing? I knew right away that it was a different animal that we were actually talking about. I remember kind of seeing them and having that conversation on the show floor in 2018, I guess, what you're telling me.
Yeah, and we still have the teleportivity QR code, instant video call. We still have that baked into the CX Unify system. We have quite a few customers utilizing, like, we'll have a plaque. We'll have it at the InfoComm booth. We have a plaque that says, hey, scan this QR code for information on how to use the room or to troubleshoot the room. So there are a good number of customers utilizing that. The teleportivity company also has pivoted as well into security, which is relevant, for our organization, and really doing an instant video comm, or kind of the intercom where you press the button. Instead of doing that, use a QR code and you can get access to the building and integrated with access control. So they're still alive and doing well, and we still have their capabilities baked in as one of the options in the system.
Very cool.
So Steve, you want to walk us through some of the new features here?
Yeah, absolutely. So I wanted to circle back for just a moment and touch on a topic. To Ed's point, we have created a single pane of glass. And I know that's a term that's becoming more and more common in our industry. one unique thing that we're doing is we are adopting an agnostic approach to this. And what that does is essentially makes CX kind of an aggregator of data, right? You know, in a lot of campuses and installations, the data is there, but it's very disparate, right? It could be on a spreadsheet on one person's computer, or you might have multiple monitoring platforms. And you'll have to endure my analogies here, but it's the eagle and the field mouse comparison, right? If you look at the field mouse, it can see very finite detail and data in their immediate vicinity, but is not really related to or knowing what's going on with others around them. Whereas the eagle at a high elevation, right, can see everything. It can see all the field mice and see everything at a macro level. And that's essentially what we're doing, right? We're bringing in data from various places and various techniques, and we're aggregating and consolidating it, making it easy to view, easy to understand, and also making it very easy for you to troubleshoot and diagnose what's really going on. We have taken a space-based approach, rooms, spaces. At the lowest level, it goes from room to floor to building, to campus, to city, right? We're taking a very logical layout. And there's a number of benefits that also tie into our standards-based approach, right? You do have some unique spaces within your campus, but my guess and our guess and feedback from the field is you might have 100 of one room, 200 of another, right? There's a lot of repetitiveness in there. And by taking a standards-based approach, a lot of advantages, right? It's an advantage when you're onboarding. If you need to bring on 200, let's call them medium classrooms, right? It can be highly repetitive to enter the same data over and over again. We offer templates to where you can import data very quickly so you can bring those rooms on efficiently. Another advantage is if you have repetitious systems, you can store documentation in our platform. Do you really want to upload a manual or a how-to documentation, over and over again? So when you establish a standard, you define what's in that space, right? Here's all the equipment's in that space. Our system is expecting to see that information. And then you can load documentation, how-to guides, right? Here's how to troubleshoot this space. Here's what's in this space, right? So the standards-based approach is about efficiency and information sharing amongst various levels of expertise, right? You might have some experts, but you might have a grad student coming into a space that's not as familiar. Well, they've got the documentation on that space. Very, very helpful.
Steve, I want to go back to that highlight a little bit about that agnostic approach. I felt like that was a really important piece of your story. We're kind of embarking in cloud wars everywhere right now, right? Everybody's got a cloud thing or whatever it may be. And I want to highlight that Liberty, you mentioned you're working with higher ed partners and it came through. And I think we all overwhelmingly stress whatever you do, it has got to be an agnostic approach. And we see a lot of manufacturers out there that build their cloud flavored whatever it is that bolts onto their thing, and it's just another window on your pane of glass, right? And so I just wanted to take a moment that this approach really was all inclusive as you listened to the people who were actually thinking about what this could be. And when you say agnostic, it's all of it. It's not just Liberty. It's not just one product. It is everything is capable of being rolled up into the system. Absolutely, right. So that was a cornerstone approach. But that, thank you for highlighting that, because that becomes ever more important when we start talking about analyzing data, incorporating AI, right? If we have these disparate systems, it becomes a challenge, right, to make an efficient, quick, and informed decision if you've got data in 10 different platforms, right? So we really, again, wanted to aggregate data and make it easy to access, right?
Hey, Steve, if I could chime in and add one thing, on the agnostic approach, and I'd like to talk about the strategy as a business unit, as a business, is that it really is Liberty's DNA, because although we have AV over IP products and USB-C electronics and wire and cable, of course, our method to go to market has always been around how do we save the integrator and the end user time and money doing their installations. We're very much tied into the installation and service departments because of, how do you do a compression BNC connector and how do you save time and money terminating in the field? Solving problems with the integrator is kind of who we've always been. And so from that standpoint, we're not, yes, of course we want to sell our AV over IP and we believe it could be a standard. But with that said, that's really not who we are, right? We're not that leading electronics company. We're more of a middle market player that wraps services around everything that we do and tries to solve problems and tries to make things more efficient. And that's really what, that's why releasing an agnostic, taking an agnostic approach was just so natural to us.
Mm-hmm. I think it's super important to the story, and I think most people may not understand that, because when you start getting into that data story, and as we kind of dig back into it, Steve, that understanding and being able to move that data from all the different options that exist from our kit and all the different endpoints we have, if you can't tell the whole story, you're not really telling any of the story.
Right. Agreed. So, as you go into our platform, I can show you some images in here in just a moment. But again, we're that consolidator of information. So when you log into the system, you're taken right into our status page, right? And in fact, let me see if I can share that for you here. I have it. Let me try to present.
We won't hold it against you if it just blows the whole thing up, because we'll see how it goes. Yeah.
How about we add that in a moment? It looks like it's not sharing the way that I want it to share. But anyway, so I'll walk through it. It takes you right into your status page, right? Where you can quickly see a listing of your spaces and locations and their current status, right? Very, very high level, that eagle-eyed view, if you will, from my previous reference. And they can be sorted, right? They can be sorted by types of rooms, the room names, locations, maybe even departments, right? So maybe you want to sort by a particular educational department on campus, depending on how the spaces are structured, making it very easy for you to hone in on at least from a geographical standpoint, what you're trying to look at. And then once you decide that you want to go one level deeper, you can kind of go into some of our reporting and look at individual spaces, right? And then within those spaces, the first thing you see at the very top, again, getting deep data to you as simply as possible, is a historical view over the last 7 days in a space. Some of the feedback that we've received is oftentimes you'll get a call and they'll say, this thing hasn't worked in forever, or it's not worked all week or for 2 weeks. And well, first off, what does that mean, right? What does not work mean? And I haven't been able to make a video call in here, and the network is horrible. And so the very first thing you're going to see when you open that up is that initial view is you're going to see it's the network data performance in that space over the last seven days, both upload and download, right? So right away, you're starting to get your first chunk of information on validating that concern. And then over on the right-hand side, directly next to it, you'll see any status changes of any device there. So maybe there is something. Maybe the network has been performing well, but there's been one piece that is kind of aligning with the complaint of, yes, I can see that thing's been going up and down, right? So that's that first bit of information that you're seeing. So again, the concept is, how do we deliver meaningful, quick data before you keep diving further and further? Again, we'll let you get all the way down to the field mouse level. And then at the bottom, you'll see all of the individual components that are in that space, their status, and from there you can dive directly in. So if you see a troubled piece or something that's not performing, you can directly connect to it through a variety of ways. Go in there and see what's going on. Whether it's a web interface, an SSH connection, maybe you need to upload a firmware. You can actually create a temporary VPN and connect to it just as if you were on that native network. So again, we take a hierarchical approach to how you ingest the data and then how you kind of diagnose and resolve the issue.
Right. Steve, that network data that you were explaining, I think that's going to be key, because before, all my other windows in my pane of glass monitored the device, but I've never been able to get that information you were just talking about the throughput of the network and how that would impact the in-room experience. I was always reliant on my networking team to get me that information. It'll be really useful in troubleshooting when I'm helping my faculty in the classrooms to know that up front, that there was an actual issue in the space.
Yeah, it kind of collapses the silos, right? We're right now, you're probably getting data both internally from your technical team, but sometimes you have to rely externally to your networking team. But again, having that in a cohesive fashion in one place can really reduce the time to troubleshoot and resolve any issues, right?
And I think early on, because we'd had the luxury of kind of seeing some of this come to market, and as you guys are working through the different revisions on this, I think everybody was kind of like, we have red light, green light. We see red light and green light in a lot of product out there. And we wanted something more than red light, green light, right? We wanted to say, it's nice to know that it's green or it's nice to red, but why? Why is that the case? And so you start to talk about the other pieces of the data story that's going on here. And I think as we kind of kept pushing and nudging, you all kept coming back and, well, we did this and this. And we're like, that's cool, but can it do this? And it kept evolving, and we kept seeing the light kind of coming forward, because it started to bring in all the other pieces where it was clearly more than just a Internet of Things dashboard of what's online, what's offline. Like that's good information, but once you start digging down and getting down to that field mice level, it starts to change the perspective of what's capable. And I think that's the kind of where we really start to see the secret going on under the hood of this. I think that may be folks' first kind of entry into a platform like this, but once you get past that online offline status and kind of talking about where you get the reporting piece of that, can you kind of tease some of that out and kind of what really happens once we get beyond the red light, green light?
Absolutely, and that, and then again, one more data point or one more way to analyze the space is when we again go back to the concept of room standards, right? Let's say that you've developed a standard and you've deployed it across 50 rooms. Well, we track the performance based on the standards, right? So, you may have components that by themselves are phenomenal components and they work great, and you've used them for years, but you've developed a standard and you've noticed a pattern of behavior that when you combine part X and part Y, that you're generating issues. So that's another advantage again of the standards, and another data point, and help guide future decisions, right? Hey, we combine this DSP with this control processor, and geez, once a week that thing goes down, and one, it can help you go back to the manufacturer or look at the install and make sure that operationally the right programming and procedures are being followed, or maybe it's just you change the combination, right? So another reason and reinforcement for standards and analyzing those standards over time.
I was about to say, so Steve, let's say maybe you work at a campus where standards may not exist. And I think we're talking a lot about what a lot of people do, but let's think about a campus that's the Wild West. This is a great solution for that, because now I don't have to worry about, standardizing with one manufacturer, and you think you're locked into that. So you have to buy their, product for monitoring everything. This allows you to be a little bit more free. So for instance, if you're not happy with said manufacturer and you've bought into their product that, overwatches all their systems, and you're sitting there thinking, man, I don't know what to do. I don't have anything else. I don't have any options. Liberty has that option for you.
Yeah, absolutely. So, while we fully support the standards-based approach, again, the data points are still there, right? You might lose one relational data point to see if it happens over the course of multiple rooms, one data point. But again, our solution is very flexible and allows you to analyze, right? Because again, oftentimes things are recorded in happenstance or by memory. This way we're able to kind of aggregate and collect that data and make it valid, right?
No matter the manufacturer.
Right.
No matter the manufacturer.
Yeah,
absolutely.
That's the important thing to us. Yeah.
Can play with everybody.
So I was curious about some of this data collection as well, because, it seems like it really kind of depends upon that being connected to a cloud aspect, where, yes, in many cases that's great, but if it's not, it also seems like there may be some value in how does local data collection to become cloud data connection. Has that been kind of worked through and worked out?
That is something that we're exploring, right? The first Evo, the first evolution is that cloud storage, and again, to Ed's point and Mark's point, we're deeply rooted into the community, right? Feedback is extremely important to us, and we've started getting the feedback of, hey, we would like to do local data storage. So that is something that we're looking into, of how you combine local storage with cloud processing. Pardon me.
And I would also say, kind of what you're talking about, Steve, is anytime going back to 2018, when I was talking with Ed and everybody about all these solutions when they first came out, Liberty's always asking us for feedback, and they're constantly developing on this product. So this product's not going to go anywhere. It's actually not new. I think there's, this year is a big release with the AI stuff, and it makes the reporting a lot easier and things like that. So they're going to continue to develop and make it better.
Absolutely. This is a living platform. We're going to continue to evolve. We're going to continue to take feedback from the community to make the product stronger every day. 100%.
Hey, Steve, this is Ed. Could you maybe pivot over into some of the new AI features, since Justin brought that one up, and even how we're querying APIs of other manufacturers' products, how we then also can even automate some remediations in the room, where you're remote remediating rooms.
Absolutely. So again, AI, just like single pane of glass, has been used in the industry quite widely. We're taking a very, very tailored data-based approach to it. So what does AI do for us? First off, it gives you a very natural language interface, just as if you were to go online now and go to ChatGPT. What are some examples of that, right? You may go into our AI assistant and say a variety of things. Give me a list of all devices that are going to be end of life over the next 12 months. You give it a few moments, it crunches the data, and it spits you out a list of all of the end of life products coming up, whether that's for future planning and budgeting or whatever the case may be. You can even take it and export it as an Excel document and share it with your colleagues or leadership that may need that information. So that's one. And again, I'm sure there's 100 examples. Tell me all the devices that are offline by XYZ manufacturer. Anything that you could think of. And again, that's why in the beginning of this new CX platform, data organization was and capture is so important to us, because once we have that organized in a logical fashion, now that we add the layer of AI onto it, it really makes the product unique to every user, right? Because while we do have pre-formatted reports and KPIs and all of this, it may not, there's no way that we can predict what you're looking for over time or a given day. Now with the new AI assistant, you can literally ask it any information. And to take it a step further, for those that have seen the new platform and seen the reporting page with some of the KPIs and some of the data tables, we're also, which I'm excited about, and I think you guys are going to be quite excited about this, is we're going to have an AI dashboard. So you log into your account, there'll be a button that says AI dashboard. You go down to the assistant and you tell it the live data that you want to see. Whatever that data may be that's contained within our system, you ask it for a pie chart based on the number of manufacturers or the number of standards. You give it a moment, it pops it up, you hit a tag button, and now it's permanently tagged, unless you choose to remove it, onto your own personal dashboard. And you can just add as many of those as you wish and curate your own monitoring experience in addition to what's already offered in the platform. So that's one that I'm extremely excited about.
So yeah, if you're sitting there thinking that, I'm inventorying all my rooms in Excel and I don't need this, just think about how long it takes to count all those rooms up, or even build a filter to filter through that. With this, you're saving a ton of time. You're able to get those metrics much quicker. And that's the main point.
Yeah, you ask it what data you want to collect, you hit the export button, and you've got your Excel file if that's the way you need to share it at a moment's notice. And it can be any combination of data that's contained within.
So, Steve, I from the inventory standpoint, from like the natural language search and things like that, that's where, for me, that's a huge time saver. And that's something, when I saw that demoed, it kind of blew my mind on how easy that was. I'm in the process of migrating a whole bunch of these Excel spreadsheets into a proper asset management system. And so I've got 150,000 items that are being tracked.
There you go.
Most of which have not been cataloged correctly, or they're in the wrong category, or they don't have the right information. But to say something like, show me all the microphones in the library, and it just gives you a list of that, or show me all the show me the projector runtime hours of everything in the engineering buildings. That's a huge time saver, rather than, because I can get that information now through 27 different steps, and then exporting it, and then going back in and putting together a pivot table to do that. But the speed at which I saw this put together, and then to your point about the dashboard, and then, I'm going to watch that, drag it out there, boom, it's on the dashboard. That alone, I was just like, this is something, it is a huge game changer.
One time. And that's
constantly
essence.
Updates.
That's the promise of AI, right? It's time savings. Yeah. Where can we automate? Where can we do that? And it's just the ability of the tool to kind of do that. And I think there's so much more, like you said, Steve, in like that LLM natural language kind of chatbot, even at the support level. Being able to provide access to your frontline workers when, in the call center, and the way that you kind of showed us some of those features, it was amazing. And that just the level of response and the system being aware of the current state of the devices and kind of working with that. It was just from kind of taking a lousy little bit of a paragraph and putting it in there, and it cleaned it up. And it was pretty magical when I got to experience that.
Yeah, you're turning hours. I'm sorry, you're turning hours into seconds. Go ahead, Steve.
Yeah. No. Please go ahead. I don't want to interrupt your thought. Go ahead, please.
That was it. Just you're literally turning hours into seconds. It's just that quick.
Absolutely.
How is that data set? How's that data set? It's stored in your area, and then is it just compartmentalized to the institution that it is, or is it available for let's say Liberty, to be correlated at a bigger level, or is that data set just kind of, it's just adjacent to security, but how's that connected? Do you guys also have these reports that you're running for other companies, be like, hey, by the way, according to the data sets across all of our users, your product sucks. But how is that cordoned off?
No, that's a great question. So your data is cordoned off to you. Now, Liberty have a very tight data governance. We do not share any of your data with anyone whatsoever. In fact, the only reason we have access to it is simply to assist you, right? We have a master level account. It is not there. We don't analyze, crunch numbers, or share in any way whatsoever. But if we were to assist you in analyzing some data or resolving an issue, yes, we have access to your account, and it's limited to a handful of people. Only the admins.
Yeah, cool.
Now, as far as a question that's come up is, okay, well, you're using AI. They see our data. No. So AI does not see your data. The only thing that our AI model sees, or our LLM sees, is a request to organize data. It never sees the data, but it comes back to our platform and says, here's how you need to organize and display it. But the LLM has absolutely zero information about your data other than instructing us on how we should arrange that said data. Good question. Another thing that the AI does, and I think Mark started to touch on it, is the documents store. Again, that gets back to that standard and efficiency, and I know not everyone has the standards as was brought up before, but you can load user guides in there. You can load your own how-to guides, right? And this is about spreading the knowledge to maybe some level 1 technicians or people that don't have as much experience or knowledge. You can load your own knowledge base in there. A technician can walk into the space that may have access to the system and for example, say, the orange light on the DSP is blinking. What should I do? and our LLM will read not only the owner's manual, but will also read your own curated documentation on how you would solve the problem, and it will generate an answer to, again, accelerate the resolution of the issue, and also kind of educate that technician so the next time they see it, they remember from the last time. So pretty excited about that as well.
Yeah, that's something else I didn't even think about until just recently, is you can use this as a training system for your staff when they onboard. If new support comes in, you have your standard operating procedures there on how to fix something. They can just go out in the field and use your system to kind of train on how that works. Absolutely.
And then we also API access, right? So our system in LLM can read any API as long as it's in the open API format. So at a high level, you could technically, if you had a connected system in open API, you could issue commands to that system, right? Maybe you want to reboot, maybe you want to perform a certain function. You could actually instruct the AI engine to take that task on, and it would be able to do it. Now that's at a high level, right? That's a very manual step. What we're doing right now, it's not publicly out there, but we're doing it in isolated test cases, and it's working brilliantly, is to apply and curate workflows. So let's say that you have a given group of equipment in a given space, and certain errors occur. Modeling can be created to where the AI engine has access to the API, has access to the manual and documentation, and you may want it to carry out certain steps. If the DSP goes offline, or if it does this, or if 4 microphones out of 12 drop, we can curate these experiences. I want you to take these steps, right? And again, because we have access to all that data, and the AI has all the intelligence. Now we do script. We do put guardrails up for that intelligence, right, to tell it what steps to take. It can automate some of those. So you're going to find that as this is refined in your facility on your campus, that a lot of those level 1 issues could be resolved before they become an issue, right? Because our system's going to detect an error. You've instructed how to resolve that error. The AI engine goes out and takes those corrective steps.
I think it's just the beginning of kind of what is possible here, right? And I think that's why we wanted to make sure we kind of brought you guys in here to talk about this, because to the common person, they may just see it as another red light, green light thing. And I think we all can recognize this is far more deep than another red light, green light, or some other cloud monitoring piece. And it really gets into what's going on data lifecycle. What are we doing? How is it helping us make decisions? How is it helping us take proactive steps? How does it change the way we're going to make investments? And it's a much larger conversation than just what little boxes are out there and is it online or offline. I think it's really an evolution of kind of what we're seeing in AV across the market, and certainly in higher ed, and kind of how we're looking at our systems and how they're interoperating and how it bolts on and interacts with our humans and our support piece of it. And I love the way this tool is kind of shape-shifting to kind of address all those different needs, and how Liberty's been able to listen and really come to the table and show us, not just say, hey, we're going to do this, but actually show us how they're going to go about doing this, and bring product out there that is actually meeting those requirements. So I love what I'm seeing. And I think it's a brave new world for everybody. I think as cloud heats up and AI heats up, I think it's the right product kind of moving forward in the right place.
Yeah, and we're extremely excited about getting this out into the community, right? We can only think of so many scenarios and so many types of environments that it can operate in. We're really excited to see this platform get out into the community as a whole, with people that have standards, don't have standards, dynamic environments, and how it can make your jobs more efficient and easier. So we're extremely excited about this.
So Steve, let's say, go ahead, please.
No, no, I was going to say, as far as my part, I mean, I could dive deep into any one subject, but again, I wanted to cover, that's kind of the basics that I wanted to cover, and I'd love to open it up to any questions or go back to any topic.
I was going to ask, for people who are interested in this, and they need to see more, they want to find out more. You guys are showing this at InfoComm in a few weeks. But is there anything I need to know about that? Or can I come up and can we just dive deep into like my scenarios? These are the challenges I have. This is what I need to know. Are we going to be able to kind of walk through some of that stuff there as a live demo of all of these capabilities?
Absolutely. So we have a live demo running. You can see live running gear, not necessarily yours, but we welcome you to stop by the booth. We encourage you. We encourage the questions. And if, for those that don't have a POC and want to experience it and test it for themselves, we can also facilitate that as well.
Yeah, I would add we're doing, live demonstrations virtually daily, and we do have a free POC process. Of course, there's constraints and rules around it, but we've got POCs up and running right now in the background with many customers. So there's a whole process that our team can walk anyone through as far as giving an overview of the product, showing some live demos, and then helping someone stand up a test point proof of concept.
Yeah, I was wondering, can we walk around the show floor and just collect everybody's gear and bring it to you to see if it would work with?
We don't have to do that anymore. They're going to be all connected on the Wi-Fi there. We'll just go,
we'll just go rob and steal and like, hey, Ed, can you make this work? Let's see what happens. Yeah.
How about we find alerts? We'll create alerts and issue tickets to their systems that they're having a problem on the InfoComm show floor. How's that? That would get their attention.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, we appreciate the time, guys. This is very appreciated, and as you can tell, we're excited with the evolution that's occurred here with this product.
Yeah, this is very slick, and I think people need to see this live or see a demo of it, whether that's live at InfoComm or Ed, like you said. Thank you for reminding us on that they can reach out into their Liberty sales staff, and they can get a demo set up to walk through it and even do an on-prem kind of proof of concept if it comes to that down the road. I think this is a real game changer. Something that is by its very nature platform agnostic and manufacturer agnostic and equipment agnostic, and it's just looking at the data and then tagging AI on top of that to be able to analyze, manage, report that data in real world terms that I don't have to go in and set up all these custom scripts or work with my programmer to do that through kind of an antiquated language that was first created by electrical engineers who hated programming. I think there's some real advantages here, and I love that this is happening. I am currently struggling this right now. Justin mentioned, what about campuses who don't have standards per se? I think that's wrong. Every campus has standards. Justin just has many standards to choose from.
Standards.
But that's not uncommon. I think it's more and more these days rare to find the campus that is all in 100% across the board on a single ecosystem. You've got those outliers, you've got those other schools, you've got those new buildings where something is a little bit different. To be able to collect all of that under a single system, to be able to manage that, to be able to kind of monitor that, get that tied into support, I think it's a fantastic resource out there. I love seeing this. I'm looking forward to seeing more, and I've got so many things in the back of my mind on how I can deploy this right now. This just looks really, really solid, and I think I am personally really excited about it. Can't speak for the other guys over there, but I'm super excited about it.
True disruptor here. I love it. True disruptor.
All right. Well, so Steve, Ed, Warren, what else do we need to share? How are people getting in, finding more information about this? How are they getting in touch with you? What's our next steps? I've got a PO ready to sign. I'm going to send this to you. What am I doing next?
Yeah, I think first simply libertyonline.com is our web location. It has, for those of you who may not be engaged with Liberty yet, you can find our contact information and reach out to our sales team and let them know that you're interested in CX Unify. Obviously, coming by the InfoComm booth for a demo and discussion. But we have a whole team set up to walk customers through both informationally and actual live demos from a CX standpoint.
And if memory serves correct, I believe our booth is C as in Charlie 3107. Charlie 3107.
And Chris, I would just like to add, appreciate you having us on today to talk about, this one piece of Liberty technology. This is one component of many solutions that Liberty offers. And, we continue to invest. You mentioned you saw this years ago in a limited release. We've continued to improve the tool. We've added AI, and this just represents the tip of the iceberg of the investment we're making for our customers to make sure we have adequate solutions out in the field. So appreciate you having us today. Thank you for having us all on. We appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for coming on. This has been great. And I think any opportunity we have to kind of share more information as this move forward, I think this is a great thing. And I think most of us, I think we're still waiting to hear on one person, but most of us, we will be at InfoComm and we'll be happy to stop by and see you in person.
As many of you know, the Super Friends have always been better received when we have more input from you. So, here's your chance. Send us a note at mailbag@avsuperfriends.com and get involved with the show. We're looking for some topics to discuss, some fellow nerds to talk to, or just general AV awesomeness to brag about. But remember, we'll probably steal your ideas. And I suppose we'd take some criticism, but that wouldn't be very nice. Anyway, drop us a note at mailbag@avsuperfriends.com and find out how quickly we ask you to join this nonsense.
All righty. So for our final segment, topical segment, not a segment. For our final topical cream, apply this twice daily. Mm-hmm. InfoComm's coming up.
What?
And Larry, I think this was your suggestion. What sort of things can our friendly sales colleagues say to us as they're kind of walking us through their booth of interesting stuff that makes your brain turn off, that makes you lose interest? You start looking at your watch, check your phone, looking for excuses to just kind of
it's let me scan your badge.
As
soon as you say that, I'm out.
That is the first turn off.
They have to scan your badge.
Yeah, if they won't talk before scanning the badge, I'm serious. That's an issue.
I'm with you. I'd like at least be welcomed, but it's like, let me see your badge.
I give those a pass because those people are usually not employed by the company, and that's all they do, and that's what they're there for. So I'm not okay with it, but I just accept it for what it is.
Just saying what you all are thinking.
Yeah, it's
all
okay.
it is. Just share it. It's okay. This is a safe space.
I'm an a-hole. I'm like,
what about?
I like cover the damn thing up so they won't do it because I don't want your. If I don't like what you have, I don't want your info.
Like the first thing that does it for me is you walk by a booth and you're like, okay, yeah, that's whoever's
it's to
booth.
be expected. It's to be expected. Don't get me wrong, but like
that's why they're there. They're gathering all your information.
Yeah, exactly.
You guys are.
A-holes.
Yeah.
Yes, that's okay. That's why I wanted to get that one out of the way because that's the baseline one that everybody says. But now burn that one off. We can get into it.
The baseline one for me is you walk by a random booth and they're like dragging you in. Like, would you like a booth tour? Like, if I did, I would ask you. Like, stop bothering me. I'm late for something else.
But when they lure you in with however they got you in there, and then you ask a question and they're like, "Oh, let me go get so and so."
Yeah,
and then they're clearly in the middle of a tour, and it's like now you're hanging out.
Can you wait for 45 minutes while they? No, I cannot. Yeah. I was on my way to the bathroom in the first place, and you grabbed my arm to drag me into this plush carpeted booth.
You guys all have weird booth experiences. All right, back to the original question. You're in the booth.
You're in the booth
there
now.
deliberately to talk to somebody.
We're on the plush carpet.
What can they say to you to make you turn your brain off and move on? Larry, go, because this is your topic.
My topic was
this is a topic.
If they ignore how I want to use the product and try to tell me, no, that's the wrong way, you have to use it this way, that's a turnoff. Because I know my environment. I like to think I know what I'm doing with equipment at this point in my career. No.
They know better. They do.
Justin, come on now. Seriously, like I have been in those places where they're just like, no, why would you ever do that? Well, because I know how to design classrooms and I know how this is going to work in my infrastructure.
Seriously?
Yeah.
How many hardware recorders do you have in your classrooms?
In education or something.
More.
Would you like to tour our display of wireless display devices. You could look at these black boxes, and then we could show you how they work.
Mm-hmm. And we can tie those into a Zoom room while we're at it.
That's great.
I know what I'm doing. Like, let me ask the questions and determine if your product fits my need.
Mm-hmm. I like that weird version of that where you say, "No, well, I'm looking for this and this and this. I'm not really looking for that." And then they like proceed to tell you about the thing that you just told them you're not interested in. Mm-hmm. It's like, well, did you hear? Like, that's not what I'm trying to do. And then, or they just, it's like they just have the standard.
They have their,
they're going to read it no matter what. And it's like, you're not really listening.
Yeah, a bit of background on trade shows for being on the other side of this. You get a lot of times the products that are announced at the show, the sales staff finds out about 3 or 4 days at most ahead of time. Sometimes it's the day before, because they want to keep that as close to vest as possible. It's also a business play as to like, is this going to be ready to actually demo, that sort of thing. So they, to your point, Mark, what they have talking points. They have, I've got 5 things that I know about this thing, and that's it. I don't know much more about this because it literally didn't exist in my mind before 2 days ago. So sometimes they will have to defer to somebody on that, and that leads to the, let me go see if I can find such and such to tell you more about it.
We are a tough crowd. Like, honestly, all the AV and everything that's going on there, like, that has got to be one of the most nerve-wracking conferences to, one, provide any level of AV service for, and then talk about AV to all those people who are showing up. Like, it's brutal. We are rough. So, when they get squirmy around, like, true costs, Chris, when you're like, well, can you give me an idea? And they just are real cagey about whatever it is. Or you ask, like,
what's your MSRP on this?
Is it software? Is it hardware?
They should be able to give you MSRP or be brutally honest as to why they can't.
Yeah. The red flag is why they couldn't, right? Because
well, that means it's not a real product and never will be.
Like it seemed like when they're just real nervous about giving you any insight, and then it's like, what is this?
I think one of the things that'll shut me down is when they tell you their new product should have replaced something you bought before. For instance, you're using a bunch of button panels. Maybe they have MLC in the name. And then you go to a company and they're like, well, we have button panels. Great. But I already have a fleet of them. Why? And then the question comes up, well, why didn't you get ours? Because you just freaking announced it. I'm out. Right? Did you have it 10 years ago? Well, no. But you could replace them all 400.
You should have waited.
And I'm just out, right? And, that's like the quickest way to shut it down is.
I think Don's done that. He's like, I will buy this right now. If you want to come on campus and replace all the ones I have at no cost, I will move forward with you right now. You want to have that conversation? We don't? Then moving on.
Yeah, but that'll shut down a conversation.
Yeah. So, it's real.
We'll replace what you already have because it's better, but we're not shipping until next year.
Yeah.
Or like the ones where it's a mystery black box widget, and you're kind of asking, and then they're like throwing out all these problems, and like, but what am I looking at? And they keep going on and on about like problems. I don't know if you guys have had that experience where it's like, is this a problem you've had? I was like, I don't know. Like I don't like what is it that you're doing with this thing or software or whatever it is, and they're just rambling on. It's like, and they. I don't know. It's a disconnect for me when
that's kind of like that. Sell me this pen approach. Like, it's have you had this problem?
They're pulling random problems out of a cup and be like, do you have this problem? I have a thing for that. What about this problem? It's like, what are we doing? So I don't know.
Maybe it was integrators they were talking to.
It could be, but I think it's a little bit of what we talked about. Like they may not know the product line inside now, and they're just kind of grasping at it and just trying to lure you in.
Yeah.
Aha, gotcha. You have HDCP problems.
No one has HDCP problems. You just turn off HDCP. That's the solution.
Right.
And for those of you listening who do that, you're very wrong. And I hope that the president buys a new MacBook and then you get called on it. So,
Chris, what about you?
So I've got a couple of things. This is generic, not to any specific type of product or anything. But these are the sorts of phrases you can use to get me to turn my brain off. If something is cloud only and has a per month fee.
Yep.
That may be fine if I had 8 conference rooms, but I have 650 spaces I support, and that number adds up very quickly.
What if you can run it on-prem and it's $1 million and you never have to pay again?
Actually, I could probably make that argument. If you have something like that has a service like that is cloud only and has a per month fee, you better have a really compelling case for what I'm getting for that. Kind of Mark, to your comment.
Per month is difficult in higher ed.
The per month is tough because per month I have to then amortize over a year. And then but I'm not the one paying for it is the real wrinkle. I pay for some of those spaces and I can make that argument, but for other ones, I have to go, how are they going to, yes, you're buying this room system, new device, new whatever it is for X thousands of dollars. And then you're going to hit me every month for whatever. How is that going to work? So most places aren't set up for billing. I can bill that way, but it gets real squirrely.
My question, whenever that happens, is what happens when I stop paying?
There's that.
It goes bye-bye.
Well, it's not always because it's like, oh, well, it'll still work, but you just won't get our updates. Like, God, that doesn't seem too bad. Like, I might,
that could be bad.
Well, I'm building islands, so whatever.
Another thing somebody can say about any type of product that will get me to turn my brain off is when they say things like, oh, this works with all platforms, both Microsoft Teams and Zoom.
All platforms.
All of it.
That's not an answer. Yeah.
What about
WebEx rooms?
I've got WebEx rooms that will work with that.
Yeah.
Wait,
Good luck with that.
Nobody has WebEx rooms.
Yeah, you're right.
There's a few schools they do, and they keep them running on life support. But
interoperable.
If all of your stuff is, quote unquote, platform agnostic because it works with both types of room systems, but only with room systems, at that point I stop paying attention. Yeah. There are huge numbers of us who don't deal with that because we just spent 20 years digging out from under the world of codecs.
Or even the ones that we do have room systems, they're 10 to 15% of our whole fleet. So who cares?
15 years old.
Yeah. Or 10 to 15 years old. If it that clock's ticking.
It's a fine line.
Yeah.
But Justin, this room system can replace all of your stuff. Why don't you just go buy 400 of them? Come on.
But my VGA still works. So
what about
another
weird,
thing
like procurement channels?
Well, I've got two more. Hold on.
Okay. What?
So another thing that they can do. No.
Damn it.
Well, if they have no actual shipping information, like, hey, is this? Oh, if they tell me that ships third quarter this year, great. If they don't, oh no, this was just announced. We don't have any information on that. Great. I'm going to stop paying attention because even if it does become a real product in another year, it'll probably be dramatically differently. So it'll be significantly different to the point where, okay, I'll have to go learn about it then again anyway. We've all dealt with companies who have announced stuff and then it literally doesn't ship for 2, 3, 4 years later, sort of thing. So if you don't have that, it doesn't have to be shipping next week, sort of thing. But if you don't have it'll be this fall or whatever. Okay, fine, that's great. But I don't know, we don't even know. So, and then finally, not knowing some of the more, I don't know, for lack of a better term, esoteric cases of some of these feature sets. And I'm thinking specifically about displays with OPS or SDM slots. If you don't know how devices behave when plugged into that, that's a problem because most display manufacturers, and I'll be fair, very few know what the hell's going on with their OPS slots. They don't know what their LAN ports are doing. They don't know what their serial ports are doing. They don't know how the USB is being handled. They're like, oh no, but this has Android on board. I don't care. I have questions about how this is going to be deployable to me when I roll it out to 100 different spaces. And if you can't answer that, or there's not somebody in the booth who can answer it, or I've run into this with 2 major manufacturers in the last couple of weeks. If your documentation doesn't say it until I start a help case with you and finally get someone to confirm it doesn't do what I think it's trying to do, but it doesn't, then that's a huge deal breaker.
How did you buy that to begin with?
Why you bought one of these things?
No, I had an eval unit because here's the thing.
Gotcha.
If this eval unit works, I'm buying over 100 of them this summer. And 2 major manufacturers, it did not do what they thought it. They're like, oh yeah, it'll do that. No, it doesn't. So
we'll release that firmware next year, Q3.
That all sounds like
blah, blah.
weird widget box problems. I mean, maybe we already
Android
need to
thing
go more all
is
cloud.
pretty solid too.
Yeah, if it's running on Android, I'm usually checked out.
When they say, "Oh, look, it has its own front end," you're like, "Whoa, stop!"
You're like, what front end? And then you're like, "Bye, Felicia."
And here's my back end.
Bye,
it's running
Felicia.
the newest version of Android. Yeah. It's already been abandoned.
Yeah, it's only got 18 months left on its lifespan, and well, you won't get it for 6, so don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Version.
All right, Mark,
1.8.
you're saying procurement stuff. What's on your mind about procurement?
Like vendors or manufacturers or even providers that don't use standard resourcing places. You can only get it by going and getting you got to go buy it with a credit card on their website. It's not part of any like major anything. Or, oh, you got to talk to our service sales department, and then you got to get set up as a sales rep first, or whatever it is. When there's no way I can just call my vendor and say, hey, can I get this? Like, what channel you're in? If you can't speak to the channels that you're available in, that's often a turnoff, because even if it is a good solution, if I can't get it, it's irrelevant to me.
I haven't had that problem.
You haven't had that?
I've had that this week, actually.
This week?
Yeah, I was struggling to get a certain product I wanted for my active learning rooms and had to go get a P card, and my university doesn't give me a P card. I have to go through my purchasing person.
I have two. I'll buy stuff for you, Larry. Just let me know.
Okay, I'll have you do it next time.
I have the same thing. If I need to have some sort of weird internet thing, it's I've got to go find my P card person in order to put in acquisitions. And I mean, they can happen, but it's just an extra step.
Yeah. Or if they just can't speak to it, like, oh yeah, we're available with insert whatever supply chain you want to put in there, but it's always difficult. But sometimes that's where you can find those diamonds in the rough, and you get those ones at the upstart acquisition row folks. So I don't know. So what do you think? Rough crowd?
I'm thinking say all this stuff.
Yeah. I've also left because I was talking to the person I wanted to talk to, typically an engineer. And then
just picked you off?
Well, yes.
They just leave.
Almost like at a dance, where somebody's like, hey, can I cut in? And the salesperson just, or an executive is just like, don't talk to the engineer. Block him off.
He's just coming to get his lunch. Don't talk to him.
Don't talk to him. He has the truth. I'm like, yeah, but I was talking to him. Yeah,
he's telling you don't believe anything that sales guy's saying.
You're not supposed to talk. He's not supposed to actually be out here.
I'm actually leaving this place in like 2 weeks, man. I'm going to be over there in the other booth. So if you really want to know,
I've had that happen. Hey, can I cut in here? No. This guy has all the good details. I want to talk to him.
Really? That is weird. I haven't had that yet. I do hate whenever they pass you around to a lot of different people.
Yeah.
Like, no, I mean, okay, we're going to talk with Steve and then Paul because Paul knows about this special thing. Oh, Paul then hands me off to, Harry, and then Harry hands me off to Susie. And by the time I'm done, like, I don't even know what these people sell. Like, I don't even know what's going on here.
I'm like, who are we even talking to?
Yeah.
What is this? Why are we? How we get here?
And then 2 hours later, you're like, God bless. That was a lot.
Missed my meeting.
And you walk away and you're like, what was that company's name? Like, and then you wasted all the time.
If you have one of those big booths that has like the little hallways and alcoves you build into it where you're hiding stuff, please stop doing that. It's difficult to find
tiny
things.
Beds, by the way, too. We miss the tiny beds.
I like There's only one tiny bed. But sometimes the interesting stuff gets hidden in oddball alcoves and things. And it's
Well, I'm curious, like, do manufacturers need to go over the top with their booths to lure you in?
It depends, maybe. What do you mean over the top? Like display manufacturers, I probably want to see.
If there was a company that you did a lot of business with, and you're like, I trust this thing inside now. If you showed up to their booth and all it was a wall with a bunch of QR codes on it, would that piss you off?
It wouldn't piss me off. It'd be like, what the hell happened here? And then
that's been a reality. I get it. I get that's been.
I've been in that booth.
Right, exactly. Like, do you need all the pomp and circumstances of all the stuff going on to interest you to be in the booth?
I need to talk, going to InfoComm's building relationships and talking with people, like what most of it is. So not necessarily.
Like a trimmed down retail situation. So I can see and touch some of the things, knowing that.
If it was just a big menu.
But I don't need the 7 layers with the.
It depends on what I'm shopping for. If they did that at LG, I'd be like, what are y'all doing?
Yeah,
right.
They need just showing it on this dingy old display.
Me displays on a QR code. I'm looking on my phone like that was stupid. But
what if it was just XR and you just had to put a headset on and the entire catalog is in this headset?
I don't care.
Oh, I would do it just to piss Chris off and tell him how awesome it was.
The first company who does a VR only booth, I stopped buying any of their stuff ever again.
I don't know. I'd try it once. I may hate it, but I don't know.
What if you loved it?
That's just leading into nonsense.
If I loved it, I'd do it again. That's how that works.
I asked about some little whiz bang they're using, like the e-ink information panel. Like, where did this panel come from? Oh, we don't talk. That's not our.
It's not our product. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point, Jamie. I've run into that. You see something interesting and you ask them about it, and it's not theirs.
Where's their booth at? Like that was over.
Yeah, I'm going to buy 1,000 of these. Where did I get them?
Was it?
So who sell the cable that connects to the bottom of that?
There was a I can't remember which booth it was, but they were showing off something, and they had like as part of it, they had like a pseudo front of a classroom, like a lectern in there, and this interesting like display, and it was
that was the 5.4 display, or the 4.5 display.
That was the LG display.
It was the LG display.
Somebody else's booth. It was at Mid-Atlantic or Sennheiser or something like that.
Somebody. It was at somebody's booth, and like I was like, I don't care what you're talking about. I want to know what that thing is right there. And they're like, oh yeah, that's not ours. And it was like
they talked to us about. They're like, oh yeah, that's LG, and we do use it for this. I remember that,
but it wasn't theirs.
No,
and it was like, all right, so now I'm going over to the LG booth to find that thing.
Yeah.
So.
You just sold them. Yeah. Thanks.
The most interesting thing in your booth was made by somebody else. So congratulations.
Says a lot. Wow.
All right. Any other last thoughts on tips for manufacturers and their sales folks on what they can say to get you to turn right around and leave?
Hello. Welcome to our booth.
Okay. I do have one more I'll bring up, but anybody else?
Wait right there. We'll get back to you in 10 minutes.
Yes.
Gone.
No.
The coffee's not free.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I've
close, Jamie. I was going to say, can we invite you to our happy hour this afternoon?
I know one.
What are you doing tonight?
Nothing that they say, but if your booth is so crowded and it smells like a gym locker, I'm not coming near it.
Have you had that experience?
Why it is
yes.
crowded?
I'll come back whenever there's just less people there because
come on Friday. That's when you want to be there.
Starting to smell. Starting to smell.
So when you see us all. Find out where we ran out of.
Yeah.
When you see us. Hey, where did you run out of today? Oh, that one over there.
Yeah, you don't want to go
this
there.
is fair feedback to give, so yeah. I have no qualms about it.
You said you had one more, Chris?
I already said
that was a happy hour.
Can we invite you to our happy hour?
No.
That maybe. I don't know.
Maybe.
It's not. It seems exhausting. Like,
Yeah. Don't care.
Yeah.
I'm here for a reason. I can get a drink anywhere. So.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll be there at InfoComm in 3 weeks. 2 weeks.
Like
3.5.
2.5.
Really?
And we'll be back here next week.
Yeah.
Well, we've managed to ruin yet another episode of AV SuperFriends Off the Rails. You can contact us with questions, topic ideas, or general complaints at mailbag@avsuperfriends.com. If you complain loud enough, we might just invite you on the show.
Nice work, everyone. Sharp broadcast. Really good. Everyone on the floor as well. Really a lot of hustle. I liked it.
The opinions expressed by the AV SuperFriends are solely those of the individuals and do not represent their respective institutions, organizations, companies, or clients.